Positive energy all the time. Good to see you all. Yup, Pharaoh said that live is about to pop off in 2025. It's going to be crazy. You'll get a chance to call in. You'll get a chance to come into the live. There'll be open discussions, open debates. It's going to be crazy. Phone line's going to be popping. It's going to be crazy. I'm working on it, setting up everything. And I'll be letting you know the time. It's going to be at a certain time on certain days. So it's going to be crazy, definitely. I'm not sure if it's going to be once a week or twice a week. I got to see. I'm leaning towards Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see. That's going to be crazy. So good to see everyone. Glad you're here. I got another interesting conversation that needs to be talked about. Run those likes up, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and support the channel. Super Chat, CashApp, Venmo, and PayPal. Also, you know how we do. Rep your city. Represent your city. Shout out to my new wrenches. Much respect to everybody that's got that wrench. I'm going to add a few more mods because it's going to get really crazy in 2025. But shout out to my new mods. I got to add more mods because some of the mods are not really here to do the work. And I need to make sure people are here to get rid of the trolls. If you are trolling or asking questions or a little out of line, you'll no longer be under my protection. I protected some of the trolls. As of January 1st, my mods, they're going to have a free reign to get rid of you, period. And so if they don't like what you're doing, if they feel like you are saying something out of line, they feel like you off subject, they're going to put you on timeout. First time, they're going to put you on a short timeout. The second time, they're going to put you on a long timeout. And the third time, they're going to put you on timeout till the next day. You'll have to come back tomorrow. So we're going to upgrade that. I'm not going to be able to deal with trolls anymore. I enjoyed it. But if you're a weirdo, I'm not going to be able to address you anymore. I'm not going to be able to talk to you. I'm going to have to ignore you. It's getting too busy. I got too much to do. I got too much to talk about. And it was fun while it lasted, but I'm going to have to ignore you. It's going to be too hectic, too many conversations. And we just got to get rid of you. If you don't fall in line, if you're not bringing any good questions, good comments. We like comments. We like questions, but I like them to fit what we're talking about. You know? And the sad thing about it is it's men. It's men. And that's what's the saddest thing about it. The females are just beautiful. The men are so immature. Ladies, I don't know how you all find a man. Because, ladies, you all are 50 times more mature than the men. It's just incredible. All my trolls, all of the negative distraction is men, grown men, coming into a conversation with no intelligence and no plan to make the conversation healthy. Grown men that want to compete during a discussion. A discussion is not the place to compete. It's a discussion. And grown men on social media typing and acting ridiculous. It is sad. And I'll be talking about that too soon. Like, you men need to be ashamed of yourself on social media. All you men that are disruptive, argumentative, and come into lives with no positive input. You're disgusted, like you're a grown man. It's bad enough you're hiding under aliases, but you really need to be ashamed of yourself, seriously. You're a grown man. And so for all you grown men that's doing that, you won't be getting any more attention anymore. The mods are just going to get rid of you. It's going to be like you never existed. It is what it is. We need some maturity. A grown man acting childish on social media. It is the greatest. It's the craziest thing ever. You say, what the hell? Who raised you? You're a grown man. It's a shame. The sad thing about it is you want attention and got a fake name, so you can't even get real attention. You try to get attention, but don't nobody know who you are. Your name Johnny Wagon, and you try to get attention, but your name Johnny Wagon. So you're trying to get attention for Johnny Wagon, and there's no such thing as Johnny Wagon. You're talking about a waste of life and time. I could never see myself wasting time in my life going on some YouTube channel or something and trolling and making weirdo comments on Instagram. And I could never waste not a minute of my life doing no stuff like that. To me, that's like, that ain't bringing in no money. That ain't doing nothing. Like, who got that type of time like that? You can't have a woman. Ain't no way you got a woman. Because what woman want to be with a man and he's sitting around trolling? You know what I'm saying? On social media. Grown ass man. I tell you. So tonight, I'm going to talk about the responsibility of older brothers like myself. Because a lot of people get that twisted and they don't understand. So we got Richmond, California in the building. We got Greensboro in the building. We got New Orleans in the building. Rep your city, rep your city. Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. I am representing Chicago, Illinois. Represent your city. We always want to give love to the cities. Salute to all the beautiful cities out there around the world, especially cities in the United States of America. And y'all keep your head up and try to work hard to maintain some stability in these times. These are really trying times. Salute to everybody in Washington, D.C., Chocolate City. Much respect. to everybody. We're going to keep it positive, right? We got Buffalo, New York in the building. Shout out to my mod, Baby Lane. And we doing what we doing. Keeping it positive all the time. I'm talking about this. Shout out to Sarah Seti. You know what I'm saying? That whole situation is squashed. I haven't found, but somebody said that. He said, you know, he withdraw all of that. And I'm not sure if it's true, but it might as well be. I'm not into it like that. But that does have a lot to do with this conversation. And I want to talk about the responsibility of elders in this consciousness that we're dealing with. Now, everything has rank and file, and the young black man, and I'm going to mostly speak on the foundational black American. I don't want to speak on the bros from Africa and the Caribbean. They got to figure that out. But it does hold for them. We lack rank and file. Brothers are overstepping their bounds and kind of stepping on people that no matter what they say paved the way for them. And so no matter what you say, black man that's older than you went through things before you. There's no getting around it. They went through things before you. And let's say you in your 30s. Any brothers in their 40s that you find something wrong with them, you can find that in the 30s too. And you can find that in the 20s. That's a fact. So if you see some elder brothers in their 50s and you say they're not doing this right, they're not doing that right, you can find that same type of person in their 40s, in their 30s, in your generation, the older people that you criticize, you got them same people in your generation. That's just a fact. If you got alcoholics in their 60s, alcoholics in their 50s, you got alcoholics in their 40s, 30s, and 20s, and teens. Same thing. You understand? And so when we start looking at generations, that's not accurate. Right? So it wouldn't be accurate for me to go and get on 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds about abusing substances with all the 40-year-olds that abuse substances, all the 50-year-olds that abuse substances, all the 60 and 70-year-olds that abuse substances. So should I be talking about an age group that abuse substances, or should I just be talking about in general abusing substances, no matter what age you are? So we got into this mentality where you're trying to put a certain thing on a certain age that's not accurate. These problems transcend age. I mean, it just is what it is. So we're going to talk about the responsibility of elder conscious brothers. So I'm going to use my brother Tariq Nasheed. I hope he don't mind. Now, Tariq is in his early 50s. And he is really the one that brought to our attention about lineage and foundation of Black Americans to identify itself as the Blacks that been here. Now, he's in his 50s. I'm headed to my 70s. My responsibility is not to really be trying to correct him or to be stepping in his lane. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to get out of his way. That's it. As an elder to him, my responsibility is to get out the way because he's also an elder. And y'all don't understand what an elder is. An elder is based on who's under them. So by that brother being in his young 50s, he's an elder to the teenagers, to the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds. Tariq is an elder to them. He's got skin in the game. It's not my responsibility to step on the elder of the generation under him. That's not our responsibility. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to step on them. We're not supposed to judge them too harshly. We're supposed to stay out of the way, and we're supposed to look for opportunities to support them. That's our job. It's not my job, and I'm going to just use Tariq because he's a perfect. It's not my job to get out here and criticize what he's doing, what he's talking about, when my generation already had their time. And if my generation, if that group of brothers and sisters that came with me, if they didn't accomplish everything that they were supposed to accomplish, how could I push what they were supposed to accomplish? Either they accomplished it or they didn't. At this point, that's water under the bridge. So as an elder, your responsibility is to watch the next movements and stay out the way. And they say, well, aren't you supposed to straighten up stuff out? Yes, I'm supposed to straighten out Tariq's enemies. That one I'm supposed to step in when you're giving them a hard time. I'm supposed to step in and dish you and stomp you out so he don't got to do it. I'm not talking about stomping you out literally. I'm talking about like mentally. I ain't talking about physically doing nothing. I'm saying it's my responsibility to come in and say, hold on. Like leave dude alone and go at you. It's my responsibility to go at you, not to go at him. And when he's putting something out there that, and once I deem it as beneficial for the people, it's not my job to try to correct him. He's a grown man. My sons are grown. I don't be trying to correct them. They are grown men. And so when you see a brother that's out there pushing some type of formula or some type of ideology that you see is definitely beneficial, you don't be stepping on him in front of the public. This was my problem with Sarah Seti. I heard he said he apologized. I haven't seen it, but me and Seti, we cool. Until I found out that really didn't happen. But the brother that told me that, I don't believe nobody told me that for a lie. So y'all said he is cool, leave him alone. But that was my problem with him because he's an elder too. And he ain't supposed to say nothing against no movement under him. He had his opportunity with RBG and all that to push that, and it went wherever it went. And now with some more younger people, and he only supposed to be the support. He only supposed to support FBA. He only supposed to support lineage. He only supposed to support reparations. And then I'm supposed to support his support. It's rank and file. I shouldn't have had to come out and get him because I felt like he was slighting another general and he's the older general. I shouldn't have had to do that. I shouldn't have had to do that. He's supposed to have been in the same thing, on the same thing I was on. Hey, let's support this brother, whatever he's doing. And let's focus on his enemies instead of him. We're supposed to focus on the enemies of FBA, on Tariq's enemies. Anybody trying to go in there and trying to upset something that we're trying to do for the benefit of our people, especially foundational Black Americans, those of us that have been in this country, and anybody that's got anything positive that's leaning towards reparation, we're supposed to stand on it. And what we're supposed to do is any losers that come over here that's fighting against that, we're supposed to dog walk them and kick them out of the community and kick them out of the comment section and kick them off of our social media. Kick you off. Let you go with that somewhere else. You cannot come over here going against what I'm trying to lay down or what somebody positive trying to lay down. You got to go find your own negative situation and push that over there. And you brothers that's elders and stuff, stop letting losers or people that go against us get any airplay. You get no wins over here. Everybody know. You go against the grain, you get no say-so over here. You get talked about and you get blocked out of the community. Well, I'm not going to let you come fighting against what we trying to push. At what point do you try to push something and you open up a door for somebody to fight what you're trying to push? Who does that? Who's going to invite you? Who's going to spend a lot of work trying to push your ideology? Who going to let you come and talk against their ideology while they working to push it? Who going to do that? Who back in the 80s going to fight against apartheid and let you come and say you for apartheid and listen to you and give you the microphone? So we had an anti-apartheid rally in the 80s and you for apartheid. You think we're going to give you the microphone? Not only are we not going to give you the microphone, we're going to usher you out of the event. You got to go. This is an anti-apartheid event. You're for apartheid. You need to go find a for apartheid event. Y'all got to stop letting people come into something you're trying to do on the right, talking the left. Make them go where they talking the left at. Stop letting people, that's no matter what you're doing. Not just this type of stuff. No matter what you're doing. If you're a young brother, and you talk about getting married to your wife, your fiance, and raising your kids, you don't let no brother come into you telling you don't do that. You don't let nobody come into your space talking the opposite of what you're trying to do. You don't ever do that. Ever. Never. If you're trying to be a big rapper, you do not be around somebody that say it ain't gonna work. You only be around people that's going to support it. That's what you do. So as elders, our responsibility is to stay out the way. And if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing. That's it. And my responsibility is for me to look with my own mind and to say, okay, foundational Black Americans, that sound good, check. Okay, lineage, that sound good, check. Okay, reparations, that sound good, check. All right, that's it. Check, check, check. I'm with it. Y'all do y'all thing. Me, I'm the monster. I'm looking for ops. I try to make your job easier keep pushing what you push, I'll stick their neck up. I'm at you. I'm trying to disassociate you with our whole lineage. I'm trying to get you out of here because you bad for our children, you negative, and our people don't need to listen to you when you're going against the grain. I don't give a damn what you are. If you see us trying to build something, don't come over here fighting against us talking about you no more, because you ain't going to be no more, no more. Not over here. You're going to have to go to your Morris stuff with that, bro. Because you a hater. That's what you really are. Disguised as a Moor. You a hater. Disguised as a Hebrew Israelite. You ain't positive. If I'm a Hebrew Israelite, brother, and I'm comfortable with what I am, I'm not stepping on what y'all got going on. That's not righteous. That's not righteous under Jehovah, under Yahshua. That is not righteous. There is no way you try to be no positive Hebrew Israelite and you fighting against some people trying to do something positive. They try to do something positive just because it ain't what you doing. You don't represent righteousness. You a hater. You're supposed to be a Muslim brother. But instead of you just being content with that, you want to go start fighting against black people that's trying to get their reparations. You ain't no Muslim. You's a scumbag hiding under Islam. It ain't a righteous bone in your body. Because righteousness, you don't fight against nobody as long as they trying to do something positive. You don't fight against that. How you going to fight against some people that's trying to get the money that black people was cheated out of all since they've been in this country? How do you look at yourself in the mirror fighting against that? When you became a Hebrew 20 years ago, your grandmama wasn't no Hebrew, your great-grandmama wasn't no Hebrew, but they was definitely got cheated. They definitely were sharecropping. They definitely came out of slavery. That's a fact. Yeah, you were Hebrew Israelite, but your great-great-great-great-grandmama wasn't no Hebrew Israelite. She was picking cotton. She wasn't no Muslim. She wasn't no Muslim. She wasn't no Hebrew Israelite. She wasn't even a Christian because they didn't allow you to be a Christian. In some cases, they didn't allow you to do no religious stuff. The blacks used to have to go and hide to pray. They used to have to sneak off in the cotton field and pray real quick and go back and finish picking cotton. You wasn't even allowed to have a religion for a while. And then when they did allow you to have a religion, they made a white man used to have to be there to watch it. He used to have to come to your little religious things. They would send a white security person type to watch when the blacks would do their religious services. You had to be watched. So the blacks started putting in code stuff in there, like swing down, sweet chariot. You know what I'm saying? Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me on. So you wouldn't know what they was talking about. They just had to put codes in the hymns that was talking about getting out of slavery. But they know you don't know what they're talking about. That's real history. But anytime you enter something and you cross into other brothers and sisters' stuff, ain't nothing righteous about you. You was a snake. You's a rat. And you on the satanic side, you ain't on the righteous side. Righteousness does not do that at all. Righteousness do what they do. They never righteousness doesn't step on anybody that's not doing wickedness. And there's nothing wicked about being foundational Black Americans and fighting for reparations. So if you're a religious person, so-called, a Muslim or a Hebrew or a Christian, and you fighting against that, you're a Luciferian. That's what you are. You are Luciferian. Anytime you fighting against something positive, you on the negative side of life. Anytime you think you positive and you fighting against something else positive, you ain't positive. Because if you're positive, you'll just go be positive. But anytime you come like, my positive is better than your positive, you're on the dark side. You're on the dark side because your positivity should be enough for you to go mind your positive business. If your life is that positive, you look how Hebrew Israelites and Moors troll their own people. How is anything they doing positive when they constantly trolling other people rather than finding their own kind and building their belief system? How is that positive? How is that positive when you are Moor or you're a Hebrew and you see this and you intentionally coming to argue rather than go do some Hebrew Israelite stuff or some find a Moorish conversation or a Hebrew Israelite conversation? You come into a conversation that's contrary to what you are. That's Lucifer. Show me where that's not Lucifer. Lucifer is the opposer. For you religious people, God say go this way, and what Lucifer say, nah, we need to go that way. That's what you're doing. That's what you are, Lucifer. You're the opposition. You're Satan. You're opposing something for no reason, something that has nothing to do with what you're doing. You understand? You understand? Real talk. You look at Professor James Small. That's not elder behavior. He's supposed to be right down the middle. He's supposed to stay out of it. He's not ever supposed to speak against foundational Black Americans. He's supposed to stay out of it. He is a disgrace as an elder. Elders not supposed to do that. Elders are supposed to be a support system for all our different things as long as they in their lane. James Smalls, it don't represent no elder. He's disgraced. He's a disgrace. I'll tell him, bro, you a disgrace. You're not carrying yourself with no type of dignity or nothing. This whole thing with FBI and all, that's a younger generation. As old as you are, bro, why you jumping down there in their business? Smalls ain't supposed to be doing nothing but try to see where he can support. Right? People my age and all we supposed to be doing is looking for some type of way that we can support. That's it. We either trying to support or we're just not paying it no attention. But we're not going against, you're not going to see me go on that account where brothers is Moors and say something. That's not elders. I'm talking about them coming into this conversation. But I would never go in no Hebrew Israelite conversation or no Moorish or no other group's conversation. I would never go into their conversation with any forms of opposition. That's Lucifer. That's the great opposer. Because why can't you just let them do what they do? Why? Why is it necessary for you to come in somebody else's lane? He apologized. Well, that's good. He should apologize. He's too old for that. He should apologize. Yeah, he's older than I am. I'm 67. I'll be 68 in February. Hold on. He shouldn't have never did that. I'm glad he apologized. No harm, no harm, no foul. But he should be ashamed of himself. But if he apologized, then it's all good. He was born in 1945, right? 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015, 2025. So he's 80 years old. He was never he was never supposed to say nothing other than look for ways of support. That's it. All he was supposed to do, because that's my elder. So he's my elder. It's him, then it's me, then it's Seti. Then it's Tyreek. Now, Seti, me, and Smalls, we supposed to stay out the way. We supposed to stay out the way. And all we supposed to be looking at is for other people with negative to fight against these younger movements. That's it. We're supposed to be looking for people fighting against Tyreek. We're supposed to look and say, he got good intentions. There's no leadership. We're supposed to know the knowledge too. We're supposed to know there is no FBA leadership. FBA is not a group. How are you an elder and you don't know the facts? FBA is not a group. FBA doesn't have a leader. FBA is a lineage. Foundational Black Americans. Black Americans with the word foundational in front of it. That's it. Elders are supposed to know that. We're supposed to look at it and say, okay, they trying to push something positive. Cool. Now, all we're supposed to be doing is looking for their opposition. We're supposed to be looking for the opposition to FBA. So when we start seeing brothers start jumping up to us, no, we Native American, they're the ones we supposed to step on their neck. Because, bro, you've been saying you a Native American. Stick over there with Native American. Don't start comparing Native American ideology against foundational Black Americans. At that point, you're a Luciferian. Because there's no need for you to attack this ideology with your ideology. Just push your ideology. If I was pushing that we Native Americans and you came out with FBA, I would not push that against what you're doing. We would just stick what we're doing and you do what you're doing. But when you begin to push your ideology against another ideology, that means you're scared that your ideology will wane out and it's not powerful. So you're afraid of this new ideology, so you go to fight against it because your ideology is weak. Because if your ideology was strong, you wouldn't care about this ideology. The whole Native American thing never went nowhere and ain't going nowhere. That ain't going nowhere. It ain't went nowhere all these years. It's not going nowhere. Period. All them religions ain't going nowhere. But do your thing, but they're not going to add up to nothing. Because religion is not dealing with government or nothing. Religion is just you somewhere with a religion. Foundational Black Americans is dealing with government issues. Straight up. Dealing with the Census Bureau and dealing with money that the government owes. Hebrew Israelites, you ain't dealing with nothing. You're just dealing with Yahweh. That's it. Muslims, you're just dealing with Allah. That's a religion. That ain't got nothing to do with that. You can be a foundational Black American Hebrew Israelite. You can be a foundational Black American Muslim. So how are you comparing them when this is one and this is the other one? They ain't even nowhere near the same thing. So how you gonna make it either or? When you're a Hebrew Israelite, But your grandmama and granddaddy was here. Your great-grandmama and great-granddaddy was here. Your great-great-grandmama and great-great-granddaddy was here. You're a foundational Black American Hebrew Israelite. Duh. You're a foundational Black American Muslim. Duh. You're a foundational Black American Rasta. Duh. There's no way of getting around that part. You cannot X out your great-great-grandparents who they was. They was who they was. And you're a descendant of them. You understand? It is what it is. It's your lineage. How do you fight your lineage? If you say you're a Hebrew Israelite, you cannot trace your lineage back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But I bet you can trace your lineage back to Alabama, Mississippi, somewhere like that, unless you're a foreigner, unless your parent from the islands or something. And then if you're a Hebrew Israelite here in the United States and you pushing that on us, but your parent from the island, you suspicious. Because you ain't foundational Black American. And now you're trying to push something that is suspicious because you ain't even from here. Your family not from here. And your family from the Virgin Islands. Why don't you go to the Virgin Islands and push that? Where you from? Why you up here trying to push that on us? Your relatives wasn't even here. Go back down where your grandmama and them come from and push that. Don't come up here trying to push that where my grandmama and them is from. On my soul. And hurry up and go to heaven. Because we ain't dealing with going to heaven. We ain't dealing with that. Because like Peter Tosh said, everybody wants to go to heaven. But nobody wants to die. Let's take a break. And we're going to finish this conversation. Now, one reason that I have been so supportive of foundational Black American, the whole idea and reparations and all of that is because of my age. And my age has a lot to do with why I'm like this, because I was born in 1958. So I grew up and watched movements. So all of the movements of Black people, after the Great Migration, that's my whole life. So my whole life has been the transition of foundational Black Americans. And my parents came up here. I was born in 1958. So when the 60s came and that whole movement of Black is Beautiful and Black Power, I experienced that at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I experienced that. And then when I started getting 18, 19, I experienced the whole Pan-African movement. When more Jamaicans was in America and reggae got big and everybody was dealing with Mandela and Winnie Mandela, I experienced that. Then I experienced what I call a Sonetta era, when all of this went to the internet and they started to mix the Hebrew Israelites against the Moors, and they put all those ideologies and pushed the Black consciousness on the internet. But I've seen with Black Americans, I've seen the title changes. So I was here for Negro, coloreds, African American, Black American, Black. And my generation was the ones that pushed Black. Okay, so for you to know the facts. So my parents and them went through that Negro, colored, African American, Black American, but we was the babies, the bicentennial N-words, and so we pushed just Black. And a lot of people mix my generation, they miss us. They always talk about my parents' generation. They miss our generation. I'm the baby. I'm the Black Power baby. So where my parents and them would have wanted to clean it up like Black American and stuff, my generation was like, nah, Black. That's the bicentennial Blacks. I graduated from high school in 1976. That was the 200th anniversary of the country being a nation. The country became a nation in 1776. And I graduated in 1976. That's when Richard Pryor came out with the album Bicentennial N-Word. Let me see if I got that, actually. I wonder if I got that album. Let's see. I don't got that one. I don't have bicentennial. I don't have that one. Yep, I don't have bicentennial, the bicentennial N-word. But anyway, Richard Pryor was like one of our spokespersons for my generation. But we was a little more hardcore. So a lot of people miss my generation. Now we talk about my parents and that generation. That was Black Americans, African Americans. They never talk about my generation. My generation, we was just Black. And they don't never talk about that generation. They overlook my generation. We just did Black. We didn't say American. We was just Black people. Because we was the babies that started growing the afros. Right? So our heroes wasn't like my parents' heroes like Aretha Franklin and James Brown and them. Our heroes was like Angela Davis, Fred Hampton, Gil Scott-Heron. Our heroes were militants in my generation. Our heroes was like the ones that looked different, like Dr. J with that big old afro dunking. You know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali beating up people. changing his name. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar changing his name. That was our heroes, my particular generation. We was different than our parents. They always push our parents' generation. They never push my generation. I started growing dreadlocks in 1978. I ain't cut my hair since then, but I started growing dreadlocks in 78. I had afro as a baby. I got my afro, I was, what, 10? 9 or 10 when I begged my mama for an afro. They try to eliminate that generation. So we was shorties, and my OGs were like afros, and they was into like Gil Scott-Heron. They was into the Black Panthers and stuff like that. So my OGs was into Fred Hampton and stuff like that. I'm just a kid. But of course, you know, kids, we emulate the older brothers. So my OGs was like revolutionary types. That was the thing. Afro, bell-bottom pants, army jacket. When I was a shorty. That was the imagery. Like, we caught the end of the 60s when they wiped the brothers out. You know, we caught the end of it. So the mentality stayed. You know what I'm saying? We kids and we hearing about Fred Hampton. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, we 18 and 19 and we still know about Fred. And they talk about Fred, but that's a part of our childhood. And so we used to new movements. And my point I'm making is I could see when something is hot. I can see when it's going to stick. So, you know, we started recently pushing for reparations and stuff like that. At first, we had America's descendants of slavery. And we was pushing for reparations and cool. But I could tell you now, that wasn't never going to stick. That's never going to stick. But when Tariq Nasheed started bringing up the concept in the wordplay of foundational Black Americans, I'll tell you right now, that's going to stick. That's a fact. Foundational Black Americans is going to stick. That's an absolute fact. That in 3-4 years soon, when you look at the census, the news media and everything is going to start calling us foundational Black Americans. That's an absolute fact. All the brothers and stuff trying to come up with other stuff to detour it, you're not detouring that. That's going to be our identity. That is a fact. I've seen it. I've seen it too many times. FBA is sticking. That's not going to be a fad. That's not going to be a fad. That's going to be our title for years. That's not going nowhere. Y'all trust me, I'm telling you, I've seen it all. I've seen all of the different identifications and stuff, and I know what's popping and what's not. And always remember, it's not a big deal because we was already Black Americans. We never stopped being Black Americans. We was Black Americans. We were not African Americans. But people keep telling y'all African Americans, they don't know what the hell they talking about. So anybody telling you that we was African Americans don't know what the hell they talk. We was not African Americans. That never stuck. That's a fact. And don't nobody want to go. If you wasn't here, you can't debate me in the first place. Anybody that was here, I'll embarrass them. Because in order for that to stick, they would have to sell it to my generation. We never bought into the African part. We was just black. That's it. We was black. We was black Americans. My generation, we was never African Americans. I've been a black American since a kid. $10 years old. Say it loud. I'm what? I'm African American and proud. No. What was the big song for us when we was kids? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Black power. We had the picks, the red, black, and green picks with the fists on it. My generation, they trying to overlook my generation. They don't want to teach my generation to y'all because we was too black, too strong. We are the generation with the black power. And then we became teenagers and young 20s, and we was too black, too strong. It's a black thing. You wouldn't understand it. We are the blackest generation so far in the United States. That's a fact. We the blackest ones. We blacker than our parents, our grandparents are. We was the blackest people in Black American history as my generation. That is a fact. We was the older. We influenced KRS-One, Poor Righteous. All of them was influenced by us. That's a fact. They OGs was us. KRS-One and them, everything they seen, they was rapping about was us. They was rapping about us. I was dressing them. They was buying clothes for me. That's a fact. We was the ones put this on their neck. We put this on Chuck D, me. I ain't got to say me. I dressed them. That's a fact. All that stuff the rappers was wearing, I dressed them. They're my little brothers. That's a fact. Look at KRS-One and his dreads and look at my dreads. How long I had dreads before Chris? These are facts. These are absolute facts. So I know this stuff is going to stick. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I watched it all. These are facts. I dressed them. How was KRS-One when I took this picture? I don't even know if he was out yet. They might have had BDP. BDP might have been out. Public Enemy was definitely out. Public Enemy was definitely out. But this was more NWA. NWA ran things right here. And reggae, NWA, this is the NWA era. This the Kool Moe Dee versus LL Cool J era, right here. This Kool Moe Dee versus LL Cool J. That was the biggest battle. And this is NWA. I'm in LA, and Eazy-E was the biggest star in LA. And everywhere you went, it was ADE and it was NWA t-shirts and stuff everywhere. And that medallion I got on my neck, we was the one, Big Daddy Kane and all them was wearing those. Get them up from New York. New York was pushing that black culture like that. This is real original Don Dada, original revolutionary before Chuck D and all of them. They're younger than me. Look how I'm dressed. Look at my hair down my back. Look, I'm militant. That hat was custom made, army color on purpose. Everything I'm telling you is facts. And so when you look at foundational Black America and stuff like that stuff gonna stick. And our responsibility as elders is to stay out the way. We either support or we stay out the way. But we are here to back up the younger generation. We are not here to challenge the young generation. That's why Smalls was bogus, but good thing he apologized. He was supposed to stay out the way and look for opportunities to show support to the young movement. He's had his movements. I've had my movements. Sarah Soon Seti had his movements. But see, Seti's movements wasn't revolutionary. Seti's movement was knowledge. He comes from the knowledge movement. That's a fact. He'll tell you I'm telling the truth. He don't come from the revolutionary movement. He come from the knowledge because we was trying to get knowledge. Our parents didn't have knowledge. So we began to read the African origin of the three major Western religions. We began to read the destruction of Black civilization. And said he younger than me, so that generation was the knowledge generation, to grab the knowledge. That's his generation. He not the Black power generation. He not the Black revolutionary generation. He the knowledge generation. He's a scholar, and he do lectures on knowledge. That's his generation. From lectures. Back then, they didn't have no YouTube. So people used to film some of the lectures. So now when YouTube came out, people began to upload old footage of the lectures. So the lectures got uploaded later. You understand? Exactly. So all these lectures you see was taken before YouTube, and then when YouTube started popping, people start uploading Bobby Hemmett and everybody. But when you look at those lectures, you can tell those lectures are older than YouTube. Those are old. You can see the footage. A lot of stuff didn't even get filmed because we didn't know that we could film it and we would need it later. So that's the lecture movement, which started in my generation when I got older. So the whole Black Power thing happened when I was a shorty, 10 years old. The lecture generation happened when I was 20. So when I was 20 years old, 20 years old, that's when the lecture movement started. But I was still into the active revolutionary back to Africa movement. But the lecture started, and that's how I met Dr. Ben. That's how I got books from Dr. Ben. That's how I would go see Dick Gregory. The number one scholar was Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory was the number one Black scholar. Dick Gregory did the most lectures. Ben did some lectures. John Henry Clark didn't hardly do no lectures. But one person that did lectures twice a year in Chicago and would be all around was Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory was the number one lecturer by far. They're not even close. And he was bringing like a lot of conspiracy information and how to eat. Dick Gregory was bringing how to eat, Dick Gregory was getting us off poison, telling us about cigarettes being poison and stuff like that. That's the first time I found out cigarettes was poison, because my granddaddy used to uh, roll up his tobacco, and when he would put it down, it would go out. But when you light a cigarette and put it down and keep burning, Dick Gregory was the first one to point that out to me. He said, when you roll your stuff and put it down, it goes out. He said, why that cigarette keep burning? Because it's chemicals on it. I remember seeing Dick Gregory at Chicago Circle campus at a college. I'm like 18, 19, when I started going to see Dick Gregory. I think I went to see 2 or 3 Dick Gregory lectures. And I went to see Dr. Ben. And in those days, the only way you could see a lecture is you had to hang out around the university. We ain't had no YouTube and all that. So if you hung around the university, you could see them posting up who finna come and talk, because the Black Student Union was the one bringing these brothers. I'm giving you real Black American history. The Black Student Union was bringing these Dr. Benz and stuff. That's why they was always at Malcolm X College or the University of Chicago. They would always be at a college, because the Black Student Union would be the ones that would bring them. You feel me? Now I'm going to show you something. This was one of the brothers that would be giving out information for us to go to the lectures.
Baseball was the first introduction to all sports, because baseball was, Jackie Robinson had such an influence on Black America in terms of being known baseball. A lot of black kids played baseball at the time. It's really funny, because at the time baseball was really cheap to play. I used to have a baseball glove, a bat. If you didn't have no cleats, you didn't need no cleats. Where everybody used the same bat. So you need a lot of bats. I grew up in a league that had like a bitty baseballers. That had you get into the first league, then you go to the pony league. They have them in the little league. Then you go to pony league, and you go to Connie Mack. So in the park I grew up in, it had 4 levels. And so at different age groups, you change the level you could be on. I had some friends who was serious, played baseball up into their 20s. because they started to go to the pros, you know. And so, you know, baseball was the number one sport, but then basketball, I like to say that after seeing Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain in the 60s, we embraced basketball. That's what happened. The basketball blew up. You got to understand, in 1954, DuSable went downstate. So it was always on the underbelly of Chicago. You know, I mean, the Harlem Globetrotters is a Chicago team. Basketball is something that's innate to the black community in Chicago. You know. And so, you know, like I said, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain were at that time the guys. Well, you know, they used the name Harlem Globetrotters because New York was so prominent. But they came from Chicago. Most of them went to Phillips High School. Most people don't know that. It's not Harlem Globetrotters is not from New York. They're from Chicago. You know. I mean, this was in 1966. The number one draft choice of the NBA was a brother named Cassie Russell from Chicago. Now imagine he played during a time with all the segregation, and, you know, and he went to Michigan, University of Michigan, where he was like averaging 30 points a game. So, you know, brothers started getting into basketball. Like I say, after DuSable went downstate in '54, you know, that was Sweet Charlie Brown and them guys, you know, basketball just kind of, for the young people from then on, basketball was the sport because you was running. It's like baseball. Sometimes you be sitting there. When you gonna pitch me, man? Oh, you keep throwing balls. Hell, how long is this game gonna be out? We gonna play all night. So that basketball was more of a action constant and had an ending time and was pretty much set. With baseball, you may go to sleep on that sucker. Especially if it was a pitching dude, can't nobody hit the pitcher.
So that's Brother Will Cosby. And Will was one of the OGs, a part of the Black Power movement. And when I was a young radical, 19, 20, he would be the one in the community giving out the flyers. I had to show him, because when I say up at the college, he was the one that let us know Dr. Ben was coming, that let us know Dick Greg was coming. We didn't have social media. So brothers like Will used to be out in all the locations giving out flyers so you would know what was going on. And in the areas where the colleges was at, there's always these square post light, but they squares. And all of the events would be stuck on those things. So if you was like conscious at that time, you did a lot of hanging out by the colleges. And that's how you found out Dr. Ben coming, Dick Gregory coming, Brother Ra coming. This is how you would find out, through the college scene. And that brother right there is like a legend, standing around giving out the flyers. Now, what's interesting is I did a live and I mentioned that brother. I said, there was a brother that used to be everywhere. And about 3 weeks after I did that live, I was outside and bumped into him. And I said, bro, I just was telling everybody about you. Because guess what? He still be everywhere. He in a wheelchair now, one of the electric wheelchairs, but he still be everywhere. Everywhere. Every time I see him, he like, Fred Hampton gonna be over here. So-and-so gonna be over there. And this was our news. This is how we found out what's going on. And he one of the main people that was like the advertisement for all these activities that would be going on for black people. And so he's the elder of elders. I'm like 67. We've got to be 80 something. What you've seen is history. This is one of the he is history for sure. And you can go watch some of his stuff on the elder observation. Go to my playlist. If you really want to learn a lot of history, go to my playlist, the elder observation, and you'll see a lot of the elders I'm interviewing give you history straight from the older brothers older than me. And so now as you get to this, the responsibility of us elders is to stay out of the way and let the young brothers and sisters nourish and develop whatever their new ideologies are. That's our job. We are not supposed to get involved, and we're definitely not supposed to speak against any type of positive movement that young Black Americans or foundational Black Americans are forming. We are not supposed to go against it. If we don't agree with it, we're supposed to just not say nothing. But whether we agree with it or not, we're supposed to defend the young brothers and sisters as they find their way through life. So this is why you see me go off on certain older brothers. I ain't going to keep mentioning their name. That's all been squashed. They all have decided they went the wrong way. And one reason these elder brothers that's been in the hot seat have changed course is because you all. You all are so powerful that are representing foundational Black Americans that these elder brothers that misspoke, they had to retract because y'all was on day bumpers. I tell you, as we going into this internet era, you young brothers and sisters is on fire. Let me tell you something. I'm telling you, the Malcolm X's and the Fred Hamptons, man, they would be so proud of y'all. You brothers and sisters on this internet that's pushing FBA, man, let me tell you, your ancestors, your recent, they would love, boy, they would love y'all. Y'all ain't playing no games. I'm telling you. This young generation of foundational Black Americans is one of the most powerful things we done had since, I would say, the movement against apartheid. That whole Black conscious movement in the 80s. Because the era with Sarnetta and them, it was a bunch of religion and a bunch of arguing, and it really didn't create no type of movement. It really created more division than anything. I think, this whole Sarnetta movement and the Sarnetta TV, I think it was more detrimental than good. Because he didn't referee it correctly and he didn't orchestrate it correctly. I didn't like the way he handled that. You know what I'm saying? He totally mishandled that. And he pit one against the other and tried to have lectures, which was really just arguments, and tried to, make money off of our division. And really wasn't what he was pushing. But we ain't going to get into that. But wasn't really... it's one thing to push this Black consciousness, but then you get off and all you talking about is alligator shoes and Benzes. That was all fraudulent. There was no real urgency to benefit the community with that. So that was a whole waste of time. We end up with a bunch of people like Polite, who's in prison for look at what he's in prison for. Tahuti, look what he went to prison for. And I can name a bunch of them. And they would come and fade out and come and fade out. And that was a disaster. So for you all made up for that little disaster trying to get us back on the right track, especially Black Americans in the United States. I think it's a beautiful thing that foundational Black Americans have isolated themselves and realized that you're in the United States and you can't let Blacks from other places come here and disrupt the country that you've been in and at. And they can come and go. They can go back to Jamaica. They can go back to Africa, but this is where you at. And so it's a beautiful thing for you to isolate them and tell them shut up and represent where they from. Don't come here bringing no ideology here when you don't have to be here. You can leave. And we can't do that where you at. We can't go to Jamaica and do that. We can't go to Haiti and do that. We can't go to Nigeria and do that. We can't go to Ghana and do that. We can't go to Ethiopia and do that. So don't come here and do it. Do not come to the United States treating us any less than you're going to treat Ghanaians in Ghana, Nigerians in Nigeria, Ethiopians in Ethiopia, and Jamaicans in Jamaica. Give us the same respect or get out. And don't cry to us when ICE throw you out. Because if you don't support us, we want ICE to throw you out. This fake brotherly love is over with. You either really love us or get out. Period. We're not spending no more money with you. We don't want to hear none of your rappers. We don't want to hear none of your reggae. We don't want to hear nothing from you if you're not supporting us. Period. On our territory. Mind you, this is our territory. And that's the position of the elders. And as one of the elders here for Foundational Black Americans, I'm standing on that. And yes, we have like conscious and aware brothers and sisters, but we got the streets too. And one great thing about me is I got my feet on both sides. And keep it cool. Let us do our thing before this problem goes to the streets. You don't want that. So keep it cool. Respect us in our turf, because you don't want outside to start looking at you as an op. You don't want the shorties to wake up to what's going on and you in their territory trying to dictate something, because you're not built like that. So for Black people that's here from other places, humble yourself, come in as an ally, because coming in the other way, that's not going to work. Because you don't want grandmamas and mamas in the house complaining about you and they sons that's gangbanging and stuff hear that. And then they begin to formulate a negative idea about you. I don't care if you Haitians or whatever. You don't run nothing here. Get that through your head. You from Nigeria, whatever. You don't run anything up here. You are here because we ain't bothering you. That's it. Behave yourself, support us, and you'll be fine. Go against us, and you won't be fine. Nobody's going to buy from you. Nobody's going to get their hair braided from you. Nobody's going to spin with you if you don't respect us. Period. And the responsibility of the elders is to stand on that. We supposed to be backup. And we supposed to take all of our years here and all of our connection and all of our army, because what a lot of people don't understand is age creates armies. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about age, that you young people need to understand age. It's not smart for the elders to go against the young people, but it's not smart for young people to play with elders, because young people ain't got no elders, but elders got young people. We got sons outside with you, grandsons outside with you. You can't win. You know how many times family members have called me about certain things people were saying on this internet, and I had to tell them to stand down? You can't just talk to older foundational Black Americans crazy. They got sons and nephews and stuff. Yeah, that's dangerous. So our job is to keep the peace, to stay out the way, and to support any positive movement that's going on. That's the job of conscious elders, and to step on unconscious elders so y'all ain't got to do it. So all you old dudes out here that ain't on nothing to get to talking crazy, I'll be on your bumper. I don't care because you 61 or 65. You still eating Cheetos and pork. So stay in your lane, because you older, but you never matured consciously or mentally. You're just an old walking diabetic or stroke patient, basically. So leave these young people alone, because my responsibility is to get on your neck if you older talking crazy while these young people trying to do something for our people. Because they say they supposed to respect their elders. So then I'll deal with you. If you an elder and you trying to stop these young people's movement, foundational Black Americans, and you older talking crazy, now I got to come out here and totally disrespect you. And then a lot of times you older dudes, y'all tough Tonys. So we go that way too. And then you get out on the street and start talking, you find out you don't want to go that way. You rather go the peaceful way and shut up and mind your business and stop hating on your own people, basically. So that's our job, is to not get in y'all way, but support y'all, and to shut down old haters that never did nothing in their generation, that's got the nerve to speak on what y'all doing. Because a lot of them older Blacks, brothers especially, 50, 60, that always talking against y'all, they bums, they ain't on nothing. They bums. They ain't on nothing. They didn't even stand on nothing when they was young. So don't y'all listen to them. If they're elders and they're not trying to stand up for what y'all standing up for your people, don't respect them. Don't respect them if they're not with the movement. We've never accepted that. We didn't accept it in the 60s. We didn't accept it in the 80s. We're not going to accept it in the 2000s. We've never accepted elders going against a positive movement of our people. That was never accepted. Never. Because the responsibility of the elders is to let the young people do what they do. And if it ain't crime and unaliving people and stuff, what is you doing? Some of these older brothers, 1 minute they hate the gangs, they hate the violence. Then the next minute they hating on the brothers and sisters saying the FBA. Make your mind up. You can't hate on the crime on the streets and then hate on brothers and sisters trying to formulate an ideology Like, make your mind up. If you're an older brother and you're on the street and it's 11 o'clock at night, who you want to bump into? Somebody that's pushing FBA or a little GD, a little BD, a little Crip, a little Blood? Which one you want to bump into? So, like, some of y'all older people got to make up your mind which black people you're going to support. Are you going to support the ones trying to do something positive? Or are you going to diss them and have to face the ones doing negative? Because if we could get more brothers that's going in and out of jail to get into foundational Black Americans, to get into getting something for Black people, we can get them to get jobs. We can get them to get married. We can get them to be good fathers, good husbands. We can use this movement of lineage to get brothers to start thinking positive. Seriously. So a lot of this stuff, when I be seeing brothers fighting against FBA and all that, it be irritating me. I ain't gonna lie. Because out there, these young brothers ain't FBA yet. That's a fact. In the jungle, it's a whole bunch of them. They ain't realized FBA yet. I don't know why you trying to stop something positive. You mess around and get caught out there with the ones that ain't positive. It's going to go bad. And people that came to Chicago and hung out with me outside with Pharaoh, you come to Chicago, you hit me up. And if the time is right and everything, and I trust you, I'll meet up with you. We go to dinner, we hang out. I take you outside. And anybody came and tell you, I'd really be outside in the trenches for real. And not for play. Because I keep my ear to the street. And it's a certain way you move where the young brother's going to always respect it. And as long as you don't go around them flossing with a lot of money and stuff like that, like you showing off, you ain't going to have no problems. You're only going to have problems if you go around there with a bunch of fancy watches on, fancy cars, all that. Yeah, you're going to be a lick. You're going to be a Vic. But if you go around them and humble yourself and just around them just as one of the brothers in the hood, just an older dude in the hood, kicking it with the young brothers, they ain't going to bother you. They're going to show you love. They're going to show you love. I walk up to stores and stuff all the time. They be like, what up? What up, OG? What up, old school? Got them bags. I'm like, no, I'm straight. What y'all out here doing? Man, we just out here, OG. All right, I'll go in there and buy what I'm going to buy and come out. And then sometimes I'll just give them $20. Y'all go get y'all something to eat or go do something. They're like, real talk, OG love, bro. Like that. They ain't going to rob me or nothing like that. They ain't going to do all that. They ain't gonna do all that. And they going to remember you every time you come. What up, OG? Like that. They're not going to vampire you. They're not going to werewolf you. Especially if they kind of pick up, you'll spin the block. And so, I was, hey, Shawty, you can play if you want to, but the whole thing, you ain't the first, you didn't invent this, Shawty. You know what I'm saying? We've been on these blocks and you know what I'm saying? You're a baby, stand a baby's place, Shawty. You know what I'm saying? Before I contact your big homie over here and you catch a violation. You understand? So our job is to stay out the way, show love to the youth, and to support the movements. Anytime you see an older brother or sister talking against some type of positive movement, they are lame. They ain't supposed to do that. None of these older conscious brothers and stuff should be speaking anything against foundational Black Americans, reparation, and lineage. I don't care who they is. Dr. Mayat, Dr. Bayat, or Dr. Sayat. If they ain't supporting what y'all do, they bootleg. And Big Pharaoh will tell them to their face. So they don't, you know what I'm saying? I tell them to stand down and you bootleg. You ain't standing on nothing pro-black if you're going against a movement when you never made no movement, period. And like I said, it could be Dr. Mayotte, Dr. Bayard. If Dr. Mayotte was powerful enough to start no movement, she got to shut up. Facts. Because she had her chance and ain't nothing came from it. And I got to see your ID to see if your name ain't Lucy Johnson, too. So you don't want to play with Big Daddy Woo Woo. Because all them names, I got to see some ID first to see if this really who you are or is you bootleg. And then two, I want to know why you going against the youth and why you going against the movement and what you got to replace the movement. And so most of these blacks, they got all type of stuff to say. They keep talking about Pan-Africanism. It never panned out. They never built no movement, and they never took their ass to Africa because they should have been in Africa. And they didn't go to Africa. But when they gonna say you don't have to go to Africa, but when they became Pan-Africans, they was pushing going to Africa because the ideology is repatriation, reparations, and rehabilitation. Those are the three portions of Pan-Africanism. Period. Anybody that don't say that is a liar and is a fraud and is a baby. Pan-Africanism got three principles. And the first principle is repatriation. Africa for the Africans, return to Africa. The Rastas say in the last days, every man shall stand under his own fig tree. The Chinaman go to China. The Japanese man go to China, to Japan. The black man go to Africa. The white man go to Europe. The Hispanic man go to South America. That's always been the teaching. That at the last days, every man will eat under his own fig tree. Always. So anybody tell you that repatriation is not a part of Pan-Africanism is bootleg. Pan-Africanism was repatriation, reparations, and rehabilitation. That is true Pan-Africanism. Africa for the Africans. Not the United States for the Africans, not Jamaica for the Africans. Africa for the Africans is Pan-Africanism. That's a fact. And so when you see somebody my age still talking about going back to Africa and they went, they bootleg. They bootleg. No, Dr. Umar is not no Pan-African. Dr. Umar is a panhandler, a two-bit. Dr. Umar took money. Listen, if you're a Pan-African, why is you opening a school here? A Pan-African is going to open a school in Africa. Facts. A Pan-African is going to open a school in Africa. A legitimate businessman is going to open a school quickly, not take a whole bunch of money and the school never open. So not only is he not a Pan-African, he's not qualified, obviously, to open a school and has no proof where all the money is. So he might call himself a Pan-African, but he appears to be a panhandler. He appears to be a con man. African. Okay? To me, he appears to be a liar and a schemer. Appears. I'm not saying the brother is a con man. I'm saying he looks like one. And under true Pan-Africanism, he would have been brought to court by the black brothers and sisters. He would have been tried, and it looks like he would have been found guilty under a black government. So under this fake black government he talk about, he probably would have been in prison. Under my black government, he would have been in prison. What kind of black government he talking about? He'd been in prison. He would either have to return, show us that money, or go to prison. And if he couldn't show us that money, he'd go to prison. We want to see all the bank records. We want to see how many sandwiches and stuff you bought with the people's money. So no, he's not a Pan-African. He uses Pan-Africanism to pimp. As far as just the way it looks like to me, I can't say that's for sure, but that's what it appears. It appears that he's a dishonest person. That's what it looks like. Because Pan-Africanism is about returning to Africa. The principle of Pan-African is all the people that consider themselves Africans all around the world return to Africa. Which sounds like Africa must be free by the year 1983. And it's been past 83. If you listen to all of the Pan-African reggae songs, they all say go home. All of them. The roster chant, what did it say? By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept when we remembered Zion, which is Africa. For the wicked carried us away, and the captivity required from us a song. But how can we sing King Alpha's song in a strange land? And Rasta is at the forefront of Pan-Africanism. There is no group, period, that represents Pan-Africanism more than the Rastafarian movement. That is Pan-Africanism at the height. And I'm a Rasta. And Rastas teach return to Africa, which I support. I support Pan-Africanism, that people want to go to Africa. But Pan-Africanism is not sitting in America talking about Pan-African year after year. That's not Pan-Africanism. And that's why I don't push Pan-Africanism, because once we did our research, we realized that you can't go someplace that's not ready for your arrival. And Africa ain't ready. Right? Africa's not ready. It's not. Africa's not ready. At all. Africa's not ready for any of that. Africa's not united. Africa doesn't teach Pan-Africanism. And Africa has nowhere prepared for you to go. And when the rosters went, Mortimer Plano and them went, Mortimer Plano, when Haile Selassie came, Mortimer Plano went to Africa from Jamaica, a Rasta, and he did a thorough survey, and he came back to Jamaica and told the Rastas that Africa is not ready. And we've sent many of teams over there to survey Africa, and it's not ready. When I was in Hawaii, a sister went over there and we went to Kenya and she came back and still today she said she ain't never going back. And all the black people that have been going over there recently are coming back. People are leaving Ghana left and right. People leaving Ghana left and right. Africa's not ready. Bunny Whaler was over there, had a farm, left. Rita Marley was over there, got sick, they didn't have the medicine, left. When I was in the post office one time, it was a sister behind me, and I heard her accent. I said, "Where you from?" And she said she was from West Africa. And her relative, her mother was like Nigerian, and her daddy was like Ghanaian, something like that. So I asked her, I said, "So what's up with Africa if I want to go to Africa?" She said, "First, tell all the Black Americans that if you go to Africa, make sure you take enough medicine. If you're going to be there 3 months," she said, "take enough medicine for 3 months because you cannot get your medicine in Africa." And she said, right? She said that when she goes to Africa, and this is an African woman, that she has to take 3 months worth of medicine and she have to leave before her medicine run out. But that's a fact. She have to leave. Before her medicine run out. My other brethren, JJ, in LA, he got a big parasite in his body. He came back, he was in the hospital a month and a half. Every time they pulled a parasite, it would break off and grow again. And he had a 4, 5, 6-foot parasite inside his intestines from drinking water. Like the water system's messed up. There's no electricity. The electricity gonna go out. There's no water. You got to go get water somewhere. The average Black woman don't like bugs. See, Black people don't be thinking, if you're a Black American, you got a woman, your woman like bugs? There's not a woman in the United States that like bugs and snakes. How you going to go to Africa and your woman's scared of bugs? I ain't been with one woman that could live in Africa because they scared of bugs. I got to kill a bug. Even though any bug that come in the house, you hear your woman screaming, "Pharaoh, Ramesses, come here, Ramesses." I go up to, "What? Why you all screaming?" "Oh, get it, get it." You know what I'm saying? How's she going to go to Africa? They got bugs you never seen before that don't have your standard of living. You must understand that when they brought Black folks here, and the Black folks is already here, invented many inventions that whites took credit for. And because of our ingenuity and our space age technology, America was ahead of everybody. Why? Because we invented all this stuff. So America is ahead of Africa because the Blacks over here was the greatest inventors in the world at that time. From the carburetor to the first airplane, I can go on and on and on. So all this electricity, all this light, all these elevators, all this stuff, we invented it. So we're living in the future. We created a futuristic country. Now Japan and them is catching up and passing, But what we have today, we created it. Africa is primitive. Let me show you like this. Some people don't believe we're from Africa, but let's pretend we are. And let's say Africa got a lot of scientists and technological people, and they sell them into slavery. Where's all the technology and science going to end up? It's going to end up over there. So if you do accept that they took some people from Africa, they took all the ingenuity from Africa. If you go and you conquer some people and you go to Africa and you see some people over here dirty with nothing to eat, with bows and arrows, but you see people over here that's got big cotton farms, all kind of technology, which ones you going to take into slavery? You see these over here, they got best army, they got the best weapons, they got the best agriculture, they got the best irrigation, and these got mud and ain't nothing. If you want to build your country with slaves, are you going to take the ones who don't know how to do nothing, or are you going to take the cream of the crop? You're going to take the cream of the crop. So the blacks is over here was the cream of the crop. We the ones flattened all this land down south to make it so you could grow cotton. Let's take cotton. America made a lot of money off of cotton, right? Like Sunrise said, a majority of blacks over here come from East Africa. You don't even come from West Africa, only a few of you, because they bought you across the Niger River and sold you to West Africa. Who got the best cotton in the world? Egyptian cotton is the best cotton in the world. When Sunrise went to Africa, what they tell him? What they tell him we was from? They told him that we was mostly from Egypt. When Sunrise went to South America, Panama, all that, guess what they told him where we was from? That we was mostly from Egypt. Facts. If you look at me, I look more like a Akhenaton, than I look like a West African. That's a fact. That's a fact. And my daughter took her DNA and all of that. And her DNA came back Ethiopian and Egyptian. So I'm trying to get her mother to do a blood test and me to do a blood test to see where the Egyptian blood's at. I believe her mother is Ethiopian blood. But look at Akhenaton. That's me right there. That's my facial features and everything. That's an absolute fact. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. That a lot of us over here in America, we have the facial features of Nefertiti and Akhenaton. And that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. Undisputable. It's not disputable. It's a fact. Who are the original people that was there when the Arabs came? And mind you, who had the first big slavery? The Arabs. The Arabs had the first big slavery and had us in slavery for 700 years, way before slavery in West Africa. Well, then who did they enslave? There go my relative right there. Fact. I got that facial structure. I don't have a West African facial structure. My father had a West African facial structure. My mother had an Egyptian facial structure. But my mother was Egyptian and Native American, and Native Americans have an Egyptian facial structure, and many Native Americans were ancient Egyptians. A whole nother video You got to go check me out on From Kemet to Chicago. If you want to get into that information, that's going to pop off too. So make sure you go subscribe to From Kemet to Chicago. So yeah, we're going to be pushing it hard on Kemet to Chicago. Pharaoh said that live. I'm gonna have about 4 channels going next year. It's gonna be interesting. I'm separating my information, having my information on different channels. It's gonna be interesting. But to wind down, the responsibility of the elders is to support the young people. That's why I support rap like that. I support rap heavily because these are our young people. And I took money out my pocket and I invested young people to go to the studio and make their music. Because maybe their parents ain't got the money. Maybe they don't have a way to do it. They can't do it professionally. So I take my money, and if your son got talent, I'll sign him to a record deal. I'll take him and make his music. And if he make money, I'll give him his money. We will split his money right down the middle. And I'll get my profits from investing, and he'll get his profits from rapping. I won't cheat him. I won't cheat them. And I'll make sure they got all their royalties and all their stuff signed up. I'll teach them about the music business to make sure they signed up with BMI and ASCAP and all of that. And I invest in the youth. I always support the youth. And right now, our youth is saying they foundational Black Americans. I agree. They pushing for reparations. They trying to do something that our great grandparents and them wasn't able to do. They didn't have social media. And you all got social media, so you got an opportunity to do things that no other Blacks had the opportunity to do. We've never had the opportunity to do this. We've never had the opportunity to talk to each other in different states and different cities and different countries. So now with things like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and X and all that, Facebook, we have the opportunity now to build. So that's why this movement is so strong right now, because now we got the opportunity to build. And we want our reparations. And any Black man especially that's not standing for reparations is a coward, is a man that let somebody rob his great-great-great-grandparents, and he just gonna let that slide. So to me, if you're a Black man, you ain't standing on reparations, you're a coward. I don't want to hear all that you can get your own money. It's principalities that they still did your ancestors wrong. And the fact you're willing to brush it off, not only you're a coward, we can't trust you because you let stuff slide. We can't trust you. We can't trust no Black man that don't want justice for his ancestors to say that was a long time ago. We can't trust you. And it's too bad we can't have a way to really keep up with everybody that ain't standing on it, because we're going to get reparations. And we need to make sure that them brothers don't get a dime, because them same brothers that's going to make us do all the work for reparations, that talk against it. When we get it, they're going to be the first ones trying to get in line. Y'all know how it go. Them same phony brothers, most black men that speak against reparations is because they have no faith and they don't believe you're going to get it. If they believed you was going to get it, they would not speak against it. They're only speaking against it because they don't believe it's ever going to happen. They're non-believers and they're weak. But the only way you get something is get rid of the haters so you can put up a united front. And so if you're pushing reparations, block everybody that's against it so you can build a strong foundation. In other words, if I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to talk to the president about reparations, and I take 50 people, I got to take 50 people that's for reparations so we look strong. I can't take 25 people for reparations that bring 25 people against it, and they get in front of the president talking against it. So you don't need everybody. You just need a strong front. And so we just need to gather all of us that's for it and kick out everybody against it. If they make an anti-comment on your Facebook or something, block them so that the system can't see this negative person speaking against the movement. You don't push no movement and let nobody come into your thing and push against it. Make them go get it against the movement. So anybody coming to your space against reparations, block them so that your space looks strong. So when people go over there, all they see is everybody for reparations. They don't see nobody against it. Let them go and build the anti-reparations. They're not going to do that. They're going to let you build platforms for reparations, and they're going to bring their lazy asses to your platform to be against it. Because the against brothers ain't going to build nothing, ain't going to do nothing. They're going to use your hard work to speak against you. You can't trust no brothers like that. Anytime you see a black man speaking against his people getting something, that's a coward and a loser, period. If I was somewhere and you walked up on me and we had a conversation, you spoke against reparations, I'd walk off. I'd walk off. Conversation be over, I'd walk off. If you gave me your phone number, I'd delete it. I don't ever want to talk to you or see you again. You keep that mentality over there where you at. I can't make you change your mentality, but I can make sure I don't hear it and I don't be around it. Loser. Facts. You can't, I don't want to talk to you. And to all my brothers and sisters, like in Jamaica, Trinidad, like, y'all need to stand on our reparation movement because y'all need to stand on y'all reparation movement. They owe Jamaicans. The British owe you. Haitians. The French owe you. So I see the brother hating on our reparations, some punk from Haiti, but he wasn't even standing on the reparations that the French owe him, and the Haitians are paying the French. The Haitians are paying the French reparations. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. "14 countries are paying the French." Do you hear me? 14 African countries are paying the oppressors. Look, yes, several former French colonies in Africa, 14 nations, have historically paid a colonial tax and colonial debt to France, involved in depositing large portions, historically up to 85%, now closer to 50% of their foreign reserves into the French central bank, limiting access to these funds and having preferential deals for French companies. Though this system is facing growing challenges and recent withdrawals by countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the system tied to the CFA France currency has been criticized as neocolonialism, hindering economic development despite these nations' resource wealth. Countries involved: Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. Paying the French. Paying the French. Paying the French. Paying the French. Check this out. Haiti doing what? Paying the French. Haiti was forced by the French in 1825 to pay crippling reparations. Originally 150 million francs, around 560 million in today's money, to former French colonists for the lost property of enslaved people, effectively making the formerly enslaved pay for their freedom, a debt that stifled development for over a century and cost the nation potentially over $100 billion and lost economic growth, finally paid off in 1947. This ransom imposed under military threat plunged Haiti into debt, creating a debt cycle, and continues to fuel calls for restitution from France today. So guess why Haiti is in disarray? Because the French enslaved them, stole everything they could steal, and made them pay them to be free. They say, we own you and you got to pay us for you. For us to give you back, you got to pay the ransom. They make you pay them to buy yourself. You got to buy your way out of slavery. They did that in Haiti. They did that in West Africa. The French. What y'all think about that? For all you black brothers that's against reparations, what y'all think about the French getting reparations? I'm just saying. So the moral of this is the older brothers, stay out of these young people's business. If you're not supporting reparations, just be quiet. Elders are supposed to support the youth. You had your opportunity to make your movements and let them push their movement and either support the movement or get out the way, like a Ludacris song. Straight up. Support the movement or get out the way. Victory.